jeopardizing our relationship with Mexico, and it's our fault. Okay. But the dumbest and most extreme response came, as it always does, from Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. Having a border at all, Booker explained, is very much like murdering people during the Holocaust.
As much as he wants to make us afraid of people trying to come here escaping terror, not remembering, like, when we turned away other immigrants trying to escape terror, there was a ship that came here during World War II with a bunch of folks trying to escape the Holocaust, and we turned it around where they got killed in the Holocaust. With the shame of that, you'd think we would learn our lesson about people coming here to seek asylum, escaping terror.
So how do you even respond to a statement like that? Maybe it's best to ignore it. But if you take 3 steps back, what do you conclude from rhetoric like this? Well, you probably assume the Democratic Party loves immigrants. But you'd be wrong. They don't. To the Democratic Party, immigrants are just a means to an end. And of course, the end is always the same: power. When immigrants to this country become pro-American and call for following our laws, as many do, by the way, the left turns on them too. It happens a lot. It's happening right now to a Gwinnett College professor called Fang Zhu. Zhu is a legal immigrant from China. He loves the United States. He strongly opposes illegal immigration here. For that, activists are demanding that he be fired from his job. Professor Zhu is not giving, and in fact, tomorrow night he'll join us on this show. But the Democratic Party doesn't want more immigrants like Fang Zhu. They're very clear about that. They want immigration that is based on family ties, anything but merit. Why? Because for the Democratic Party, the more desperate, the less skilled, the less educated a potential immigrant is, the easier to control, and therefore the better. And that's why in the state of California right now, the government there is planning to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to provide free health care to illegal immigrants. That, of course, won't help the state of California. It won't help millions of hard-pressed middle-class Californians, but that doesn't matter, helping regular Americans stop being the agenda a long time ago. Douglas MacGreggor is a retired U.S. Army colonel and author of the book Margin of Victory. He joins us tonight to assess. Colonel, thanks very much for coming on.
Sure.
So it appears, as of Friday night, when the president announced a deal between the Mexican government and our government, that the gambit worked. How significant is this?
Well, I think in the short run, there will be some temporary relief. But in the long run, this is not going to profoundly influence the crisis on the southern border. And for 2 very good reasons. First of all, Mexico has no interest in halting the flow of either illegal immigrants from its country or any other in Latin America into the United States. That's how they offload excess population, discontented citizens, and criminals onto the United States. They've been doing it for decades. So while there may be temporary relief, it will resume, inevitably. Secondly, Mexico is a narco state. We need to be honest about this. The place is ruled by 6 drug cartels. These drug cartels control the government. They control the institutions of governance. No one can move in that country without their permission. So ultimately, they have a permanent interest in keeping open borders. They have no interest whatsoever. They want to filter in people, and they want to filter in drugs. You can't do that if you close the border. So for those 2 reasons, it has no future in the long run. So whatever we get from this, it will be temporary. It's not, as you say, a viable solution.
So what you're saying is that when we leave our southern border porous, as it currently is, we're leaving ourselves exposed to the whims of drug cartels.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the great draw. People all over South America that are involved with organized crime are shipping drugs up through Mexico into the United States. Why would they want that to stop, along with millions of people? Now, of course, we're talking about the interests of Central America and Latin America, why they want that open border and why they want to ship people north. We haven't talked about the left in the United States, the Democratic Party, and why it wants these open borders.
What do you make of elected officials, politicians, who instinctively side with the government of Mexico over our own government on this question?
Well, keep in mind, this is very important. All of your viewers need to understand this. Just a few decades ago, Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan were elected to high office from the state of California. Is that possible today? Absolutely not. It's impossible. Why? It's called demographic change. And right now, the largest ethnic minority in California is largely Mexican and Hispanic. California is in the main today no longer a majority English-speaking white state. It is in the main something else, something new, but largely Latino, largely Mexican. The Latinos, the Mexicans, are the base of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has decided they are the future for the left in the United States. The more of these people that can be brought in illegally as well as legally, the better it is for the Democratic Party, because their goal is to transform the United States into a facsimile of California, so that any election is impossible from the standpoint of the right, from the standpoint of the Republican Party, to win anything.
So you don't believe there's any other calculation other than the political calculation that goes into the question of assessing
sure.
immigration?
Of course. I mean, obviously they're going to sit there and say, oh, these people are poor, they need our help. But we all know that in fundamental terms, not only is that not true, but secondly, we don't need it, we can't afford it, we have problems here in our own country with our own citizens.
Yeah.
Our own citizens need help and assistance. So that's a false argument. The real interest is to create demographic change that will make them the permanent power inside the borders of the United States.
Douglas MacGreggor. Thank you, Colonel. Good to see you.
Sure.